Good afternoon, everybody, from the wet and wintry Perth. We are certainly enjoying some very stormy weather at the moment, but I hope this finds you all really well. Today I'm popping on to talk to you about the two different types of investors that we come across. We've got your accidental investors and your intentional investors. And today I'm going to focus on an accidental investor because I would say that these make up probably about half of our clients at this point in time. And there's nothing wrong with being an accidental investor. Sometimes it's just about understanding what your options are. So for those of you who don't know what an accidental investor is, it's someone who has ended up with a property that they never intended on having as an investment property. So some examples of this could be if you have inherited a property through a death in a family, which obviously is a nice circumstance, but it does happen. You could have been living in the property yourself and then had a change in circumstance. So you've upgraded into a family home or downsized into a smaller property, and you have your original principal place of residence that has now become an investment property. You could be relocating overseas for work or for play, whatever reason, for a long stint of time, and your principal place of residence is now going to become an investment property. And lastly, you could have had a lifestyle change. So perhaps you've started doing FIFO work and you're away more than your home, so you sort of think about the benefits of renting out your property and getting a part-time rental yourself for when you are around. Or perhaps if you are doing that FIFO lifestyle, now the borders are open, you're flying elsewhere for your time off. Or perhaps you've had a marriage separation and you've chosen to hold on to the property and rent it out until you are further down the track and have made some decisions about how you're going to settle your finances. So there's lots of different scenarios where one may become an accidental investor. Whatever the circumstances are, the key thing is that that property was never intended by that person to be an investment property. Not to say that it's not going to be a suitable rental property. There's just a couple of things to keep in mind and consider if you are in this situation. So sometimes there's a little bit more involved in renting out a property than you may realise. So it really does pay to have a great team of communicators around you, whether that be financial advisors, property managers, real estate agents, etc. So don't necessarily just take on what you hear someone saying at the shops or what you read online. Seek the professional advice that you need and talk to your local representatives in the area and get a really good feel for what the circumstances are for you and what options you have. So there's three main things to consider when the opportunity presents itself to you to potentially have an investment property. The first one, which is the biggest one that we see, is emotional attachment to that property. And of course, when you have had a history with that property, there is going to be sentimental attachment or emotional attachment to that property. The question is, can you move on from that? And can you allow somebody else to live in that property and not be over eager about every little movement that goes on within that property while you are not in there? So if you are having difficulty, this is where it's absolutely crucial to have a property manager working for you, because they are there to guide and help you through the process of making sure that you are able to see clearly and understand the black and white side of your property as an investment as opposed to your home. So sometimes this can affect your ability to recognise what is a realistic return of rent for your property, or sometimes it could be that you just need some guidance because that bright pink room with stars on the ceiling that you think looks fantastic for your 5-year-old daughter may not actually appeal to the wider market. So it's just about being very aware of that and just putting things in place so that you can prepare to emotionally disassociate from the property in a way. Your memories are still there, the property is still yours, but it's just about making sure that that emotional attachment is not getting in the way of your business approach to the investment property. And again, as I said, that is where your property manager is crucial on this journey for you. So the second part is is the property well presented? We all know when you go to a place over and over again, it becomes very familiar and you don't see things with fresh eyes anymore. So bringing in a property manager to have a look at that property for you and tell you if there's anything that's really kind of going to have a negative impact on how the market will perceive your property, and in turn how that will affect the rental returns that you're going to get on that property. So it's just about making sure that someone's going through, giving you some fresh ideas, telling you what the market is looking for, and pointing out things for you that may have a negative or positive impact on your marketing campaign for the property. So again, this is the property manager key part of the process. Really utilize their services, utilize their knowledge, and utilize their experience so that you are going to have a really positive outcome with that. If you have a property that is well presented, well maintained, and appealing to the greater market, you are going to achieve much more consistent and higher returns and have a much smoother tenancy across the board, from the marketing campaign to the end of tenancy campaign. So that was number 2. Number 3, make sure you understand the income and expenses that you can expect while your property is being rented out. So please make sure you factor in ongoing costs such as council rates, water rates, insurance, and maintenance. So it is really important to make sure that you have a buffer for maintenance, because it's all well and good to lease your property, but if you are not prepared for the maintenance that will come along the way, as there is with any property, then you may be in for a bit of a shock. So it's always best to budget for this at the front end, because it takes all the stress out of it when you do find that a plumber has to attend the property because there's a leak somewhere. It's not necessarily going to be anything major. You may go through 2-3 years without having any major maintenance issues, but it is really important to make sure that you are prepared for when that does happen, that you are not going to be under financial stress yourself, and you are able to maintain that property to achieve that consistent return that you're already getting. So they're my 3 key takeaway points for anybody who's an accidental investor. My team and I have dealt with a lot of people who are renting out their principal place of residence. We understand their priorities. We take the time to communicate with them, to educate them, and to just have compassionate conversations, because we've all been there. We all know what it is like to have lived in a property and then have someone else living in it. And a lot of the time, these clients of ours, they're actually moving back into that property at the end of their 3-year work contract overseas, for example. So it's really important that they have trust in us and that they understand that we are here to be their eyes and ears on the ground, and that we are putting the person in the property who's the best fit for that property and for the circumstances. So it's really important that you, as an accidental investor, are able to find somebody who you can trust and have that rapport with. And if you yourself or someone you know is looking for a local agent in the Perth northern coastal suburbs, then my team and I are very happy to help. We have no obligation, chats with you. We can talk you through the process, give you all the information that you need so that you can make a fully informed decision. Because at the end of the day, we're really passionate about making sure that your experience is a positive one, particularly if it was never intended to be an investment property. We understand that there is more around that than just the dollar value that you're achieving for the rental property. So I hope you found that really useful, and I will follow up with another video which will be on the intentional investor. So if you found this interesting, please feel free to tune into that one when it comes on board as well. Thanks so much for listening. Hope you have a great end to the week, and if you'd like to get in contact with me, it's Pearl Property Co. My name's Anita. Please reach out, and I look forward to hearing from you soon.